Yeah. Okay, so this video is kind of like teaching your dog sign language, except I'm going to do it in the format of like writing it down and making a list at the same time. So I'm talking about it. Okay, so some of the things I found when I'm teaching my dog sign language is to realize that others are going to react to this dog too. So essentially speaking to them, because they have to. Don't get on that food, don't eat that food or whatever on that, they have to. It's kind of the same thing of what it is to speak to them, to develop their language. And that's essentially what you're doing. You're developing their language skills to the certain degree that you can actually say full-fledged sentences and they understand that. And now it just comes down to their stubbornness or their personality. You always got to look at what kind of dog and what that means for their personality. So there's different types of temperaments of dogs. Like my dog is super energetic and always on the go. She went through this phase where she didn't chew on bones, and now she's chewing on bones. I believe that comes down to, well, her realization moment of her realizing who she is and what stage she's at. There's a point where if that dog chews something of yours, possibly, I mean, it's different scenarios. Like, I got my dog because she was going to go in the pound, and so I said yes. And so her changing points of person to person, their comfortability kind of goes around. It's like reversed for somebody that's really energetic, possibly, I don't know. That of like wanting to chew on things, or at least a sense of attention. If a dog chews on something, they want attention. That's what that means, actually, or at least a great sign to understanding what kind of dog you're going to do, because a dog's not just a toy. It's an actual thing you have to take care of. So maybe you're watching this video trying to understand what dogs are like. Dogs are a big responsibility. Dogs upon themselves are like children. You got to always be on them. Your dogs are like, and children are like kind of like, or animals in their own right, are tie down moments to that place you're staying. So if you want to move and you have an animal, you have to think about where I can put that animal. How's the animal going to react? How am I going to travel with that animal? Am I going to be able to keep up with this animal where they are, and what, all that kind of things. And so essentially, what other topics do we go into? We have realizing how to react to the other dog, because your sign language, them, and you can forget. You can forget and what a sign is. Signing is, per se. And so now this dog has all this knowledge, and there's a point where you ask that dog, and it has so much respect for you to do it in a certain way, that you asking it a certain way is not going to potentially make it where that dog doesn't want to do anything, or do that exact thing. Let's see, what else can we think? That's pretty much. Oh, and the dogs, when you're trying to teach the dog the sign, when you want to form your sign language, in a sense, you want something that you got to think about, like the dog playing. If you want to teach him play, and so you go like this. This is play. Yet, what does that mean to us? You want to think about, okay, well, if this is play to this dog, the animal, then they're going to react that way, potentially, in when somebody wants to say bye or whatnot. It's just, so you have to think about that kind of thing. And on top of, what's that dog's attention span that's going to look at it so you can speak to them the whole way. At the same time, a benefit to teaching your dog sign language is that they can understand things quicker. So you can say like half the word to them and they understand it. And so it's more of a quicker reaction for the readiness and alertness in that scenario. Now, you also have to think about, if you potentially teach that dog in a certain way and you get rid of them or something happens in that sort, you sever your link to this body. Nevertheless, it just, you are leaving that dog to not essentially understand others, because they're so used to doing it one way, and so they're going to be a little bit lost and dazed and in that kind of category when they're dealing with the others. On top of as a dog is either really happy or really sad, and so they're potentially they're really kind of an overall, one way or the other. It's just, what I'm trying to say, or what I'm saying, is that they might not, you don't want to potentially stick to so much of them like listening to you all the time with this sign language per se. You don't want to always use it. You want to teach them other words. Like I said earlier, it's basically, sign language is just to teach the dog comprehension and assisting in the reaction time when you want to have them react or whatnot, when you ask them or whatnot. There's different viewpoints that dogs are owned and they can possibly have an ownership over them and whatnot. Just there's different legalities or words or whatnot. It's tomato, potato, whatnot. Okay, well, let's see. Can we think of anything else that would, let's see. That's pretty much what it is. So we have that dog being able to react to that sign language and having others react to that sign language upon that of what it is for you and them to remember it, and to not overfill them with all this different ways of saying things so that they don't get confused and others can understand what way they do, so that they can communicate with this animal, because they're watching them or something, you're not around. Let's see. And also, on top of all that, always keep in mind their attitude, how they're reacting, because that will definitely bring forth times of training them and times when they can't get trained because they're so exhausted or they want to do something else. So just keep that in mind when you're teaching your dog how to do sign language, or working together to build a sign language, because you're working together. It's your partner, this dog, this animal. You're training it. That's why really beneficial to be wise if we're going to keep the animal or not, to bond with it, or at least bond with it in a certain way that they are okay to go into the next, whatnot. Well, you enjoy, and let's hear what you have to say in this discussion of how you train your dog to do sign language.